Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel once again. So in today's video I'm going to show you how we can draw different flower doodles. These are very simple flower and I'm using this pencil to draw a basic guideline and needle pen to trace everything. You can use normal ball pen also, it's totally fine. So let's start with the first one. So you can create a round kind of shape and then you can create a smaller round in the center. Now this flower is inspired by water lily, so I'm going to create something in between. So I'm creating two circles, one smaller, one bigger. In the smaller circle I'm creating a small petal kind of structure to create the center part of the flower. So I'm creating this structure throughout the inner circle, which is the smallest one. So basically you need to fill the center part of the flower with the smallest petal kind of structure, and then in the middle circle, which is not very far from the center circle, you can create little bigger petals or spike kind of structure. The whole structure is creating the center part of the flower. If you're not able to do something like this, just do some cross hatching to create some darker shade around the center part. Now you can start creating petals throughout the circle. Now the idea is to create little longer petals and a smaller petal, so you can do the mix of bigger and smaller petals throughout the circle. Now you can keep the direction of petals little bit tilted towards left and right rather than creating all the petals straight, and because of this you can get a different kind of perspective. So we also need to take care of perspective, so you can create little tilted or curvy petals like I'm doing. Now you can make it bushier, you can make it multi-layered, you can create petals in between two petals. In between two petals means creating one petal in between two, which is behind petal, and you will end up getting something like this. Now this is the basic structure. You can do some extra shading and detailing. So I'm creating one line around my petal area. I have so many petals, so I'm not doing too much detailing into it. I'm just trying to do little bit of shading and detailing around the stem area and one line around the petal. Now we are done with the first one. Rub all the unwanted pencil mark. Now in the second one, I'm creating an oval kind of structure and the flower is more tilted towards right side. Now you can create the center part. So I'm creating half curve in the center, and then I'm creating a bigger petals. So this one is inspired by lotus. So I'm creating something like that. So basically I have divided my flowers into two sections. The lower section has petals which is more tilted towards the center part, and the upper petals are more towards upward direction. So basically we are seeing the side part of the flower, and we are also seeing little bit center part of the flower as well. So you can create something like this, and then you can trace everything, and you can also create little bit fold around couple of petals which is in the side or in the center. Now let me trace everything quickly with the help of pen. I'm using 08 mm needle pen. Again you can use normal ball pen also, it's totally fine to create doodles with the normal ball pen. Now we are done with the basic structure. You can do some extra shading and detailing like we did in the first one. So in this one, for the folded pattern, I am doing some cross hatching. Cross hatching means creating parallel lines and then cross line to get some darker shade, and then you can do little bit shading around petal area with very soft hand. Again, shading and detailing is totally optional. Try concentrating more on creating the basic structure of flower, which is more important, and then you can utilize all these drawing or doodle for watercolor or for any kind of medium to paint these flowers. So shading and detailing is not important, although if you're only interested in drawing, you must try all these cross hatching and contouring mechanism to make your flower more beautiful. Now let's concentrate on third one. Again, I'm creating an oval shape. This time flower is more tilted towards left side, and I'm creating the center part of the flower little bit towards upward direction, not in the center. Now you can start creating petals based on how much space you have from the center part. So if you have bigger space, so that you can create longer petals. If you have a smaller space, you can create smaller petal, and you will end up getting a different kind of flower perspective. Although flower petals are also different, so definitely you are going to get different kind of flower as well. And then you can add leaves as well. In this one, I'm creating one leaf having little bit serration in it. Now let's trace everything quickly. So for the center part, I'm creating little darker shade, and I'm also adding dots around it. Then trace every petals that you have created. You can keep the petals single layer, or you can make it multi-layered as well. You can create stems and leaves. Now you can add some extra shading and detailing into this one as well, like we did in the first one. So again, I'm creating a middle line and doing some sketching as well with very soft hand. For the leaves, I'm doing some cross hatching to get some darker shade in it. So you can do something like this and rub all the unwanted pencil mark. Again, cross hatching or cross contouring is creating lines and then cross line around it. The closer these lines are, the greater shade you will get. And we are done with third one as well. Now let's start fourth one. So in the fourth one, I'm creating two flowers. This one is inspired by marigold, and I'm keeping the direction of these two flowers little bit different from each other. Again, this is depend on in which direction you are creating your oval shape or round shape. And I'm also creating a base of flower, and then you can start creating the center part. The center part of the flower is more towards upward direction, so basically we don't have any space between center part and the circle. And then you can start creating smaller petal in a little zigzag kind of pattern. So these are not pointed, these are not smooth, but having little wavy pattern into it. And then as you are moving towards downward direction, you can start creating bigger and bigger patterns. So let's do the same thing with the help of pen. So I'm creating the center part of the flower first with some spikes in it to make it little bushier. So these are the smallest petal, and then you can start creating little bigger petal. And then as you are moving towards downward direction, you can start creating bigger and bigger petals. So you need to make it very close to each other. You can make it alternate, like one petal is in between two petals. And something like this you can do in both the flowers. Now you can see the direction of flowers are different from each other. And as this one is inspired by marigold, I am creating the base of flowers, little U kind of shape in it. And then you can create stems and leaves. You can do some extra shading and detailing around the base of the flower to make it look like this is different structure. And for the leaf, you can create little longer leaf having in a group. And you can create multiple leaves as well, depend on your composition. You can keep composition simple or you can make it complex. It's totally depend on you. And rub all the unwanted pencil mark. Now let's move to the fifth one. This one is the simplest one, so I'm not concentrating on perspective. So I have simply created a round shape, and I have started creating small petals around the edges. You can keep the petals at distance first, and then you can adjust these petals, which means you can create more and more petals in between. So I am trying to make it very bushier. So this one has so many petals into it, but smaller in size, and it has multiple layer also in it. So start creating from outside to inside. So basically I'm exactly repeating what I'm doing until we reach the center part of the flower. So I'm creating a U or a spike kind of structure throughout the flower, and I'm reaching the center part of the flower, and at the end you will see a very bushier flower having multiple layers into it, small petals into it. Then you can create the center part of the flower little darker as compared to the petal area. Now this one is the normal perspective. The flower is facing towards you, so we don't need to think much around oval shape or round shape. You can simply create a round, and then you can create stems and leaves. Again you can choose different shape of leaves. So again I am creating little bit serrated leaf and pointed, and you can keep the direction of leaves also different. So I am creating two leaves, one little bit tilted towards downward and one which is more towards upward direction and in a group. Now in this one is the simplest one, so you can create a big U kind of shape and a stem, and this is the base of the flower, and then you can start creating petals. So I'm creating bigger petals like this. We need to create only fewer petals, and we are seeing the side of the flower, so we don't have to concentrate on center part of the flower. And repeat the same thing. You can create multiple. I am creating only two in a two different direction. Now this one is the simplest one, so we only need to do this much. Trace everything quickly with the help of pen. So I am tracing petals and base flower. Again you can do some extra shading and detailing in this one as well. So I am keeping the base of the flower little darker as compared to the petal. So I am adding more lines and cross line around it, and you can do some extra shading and detailing around petal area as well. So for the petals, with very soft hand you can do some lines in between these petals. I think this much is enough, but if you want you can add leaves as well. Again, choice of leaf is totally up to you. These are imaginary flowers, so you can create your own kind of leaves. So in this one I am keeping leaf very simple. These are smooth pointed leaf, smaller in size, and something like this I have done. Now let's do few more. So in this one I'm creating a middle string, and then create two tier kind of shape, and as you are moving towards upward direction make the size little smaller and smaller, so you will get something like this. Now you can create more oval kind of shape in between to make it little bigger in size, and then you can create little longer leaves in it. This one is inspired by lavender, but not exactly like that. So I'm creating little longer leaves and flower having multiple smaller flowers in it. So let me trace quickly so that you can see what I have done clearly. Again, for the flower we don't need to do too much shading and detailing, as these are very smaller in size. So I'm creating only a middle line in between, and for the leaves also I am creating middle line. Now let's do the last one. So this one is also very simple. This one is inspired by dandelions. So I'm creating curved lines like this. All the curved lines are attached from the center. So let me trace it quickly so that you guys can see it clearly. These are curved line, mostly tilted towards left and right, but attached from the center. The length of this string is smaller and bigger, so make sure you are creating smaller and bigger both. And then in the tip of each string that we have, you can create some cross lines like this, and you need to repeat this in every string that we have, also in between as well. You can make it little bushier or you can keep it at distance. It's totally depend on you. So I'm keeping couple of more structure in between. And I think we are done with today's video. Hope this video is helpful for you guys. Please do let me know if you have any feedback for me, and thank you so much for all your love and support, and thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.